On the afternoon of December 24, 2014, an armored truck left a depot in Hong Kong. Inside were 3 guards and sealed boxes containing more than 70 million Hong Kong dollars, nearly 9 million US dollars. Their job was simple: deliver the cash to banks across the city. But somewhere along Gloucester Road, one of Hong Kong's busiest highways, something terribly went wrong. By the time the truck reached its next stop, millions of dollars were missing. Authorities said it was an accident. Some suspected the truck had been tampered with. Others believed someone inside knew exactly what they were doing. So was this a freak accident, or the perfect cover for a theft in plain sight? The G4S armored truck left its depot in Kowloon just after 10 a.m. A routine job: cash deliveries to banks across Hong Kong Island. On board were 3 men, a driver and 2 guards. Behind them, sealed plastic boxes stacked with fresh banknotes, each box worth millions of dollars. Doors locked, compartments secure, or so everyone believed. They crossed the harbour. Traffic thickened along Gloucester Road. And then, somewhere between Wan Chai and Causeway Bay, it happened. One of the rear doors swung open. A single bundle of cash slipped out, hit the road, and burst open, scattering banknotes across the asphalt. The truck kept moving. The crew didn't notice, and millions now lay in the middle of one of Hong Kong's busiest roads. At first, no one believed it. Drivers slowed, leaning over their dashboards. Is that money? On the sidewalks, pedestrians pointed. A few hurried to the curb, watching banknotes scatter in the winter wind, sliding across asphalt before lifting into the air. Curiosity quickly turned into movement. People stepped off the curb. Some sprinted straight into the street. Cars braked hard. Horns blared. Someone bent down to grab a note, then another and another. Soon, small groups were scooping up handfuls, stuffing them into pockets, shopping bags, even backpacks. It was all happening in broad daylight, with Hong Kong's skyline rising in the background. Some tried to be discreet, glancing around before tucking the notes away. Others didn't bother, laughing, shouting, waving cash like trophies. Above them, security cameras and dash cams recorded everything. And still, no one noticed the armored truck driving away in the distance. But police were already getting calls. First from drivers, then from shopkeepers. Eventually from people asking if they were allowed to keep the money they'd just found. What officers didn't yet know was just how much had fallen, or how much had already vanished into the city. When the first police unit arrived on Gloucester Road, the scene was already thinning out. A few people were still crouched on the pavement, collecting cash from the road, but most of the cash was already taken away by the crowd. The officers began collecting what was left, but it was a fraction of what had been stolen. They quickly traced the trail of notes back along the road until they spotted tire marks, which matched with G4S armored truck. Police immediately realized the source of the cash. On the other hand, the armored truck had already reached its destination, completely unaware of the loss. It wasn't until the guards began unloading that anyone realized something was wrong. One of the sealed plastic cash boxes wasn't sealed anymore, another was missing entirely, and the third was cracked open with bundles spilling out. The total missing amount was around 15 million Hong Kong dollars, close to 2 million US dollars. That's when the call went out to every available officer in Wan Chai district. Within hours, police were reviewing dashcam footage, street cameras, and even social media videos posted online. The clips told the same story. Dozens of people rushing into the street, picking up stacks of cash and leaving without a second thought. But there was one thing the footage couldn't reveal: identities. Many faces were obscured by masks, helmets, or the winter shadows. Others had simply walked away before officers arrived. Detectives now had to work backwards, frame by frame, to track where each person went. And as the trail split into dozens of small alleys and back streets, it became clear this wasn't going to be a simple recovery. In the hours after the spill, police launched what they called a city-wide recovery operation. Every patrol was on alert. Officers knocked on doors, visited shops nearby, and stopped people on the street whose clothes matched what they'd seen on CCTV footage. The public appeal was simple: return the money. No questions asked. And for some, it worked. One shop owner from Wan Chai walked into a police station with a plastic bag. Inside was nearly 500,000 Hong Kong dollars. He said he picked it up without thinking, then later realized he couldn't keep it. Others weren't so convincing. One man was caught on security footage stuffing bundles into his backpack. Yet when questioned, he claimed he'd only found a few loose bills. Another returned several thousand, but the cameras showed he had taken far more. By the second day, police set up a hotline for anonymous returns. Envelopes, bags, even boxes started trickling in. Some held just a few notes, others tens of thousands. But here was the problem. For every person who came forward, several more stayed silent. By the end of the week, only 6 million Hong Kong dollars had been recovered, less than half of what was lost. The rest had disappeared into homes, businesses, maybe even out of the city altogether. Investigators began tracking bank deposits, following up on sudden spikes in spending, and even checking gambling venues where large cash transactions were common. Every lead brought them closer, but also revealed the scale of the problem. They weren't chasing a single thief, they were chasing dozens of them, and somewhere among them might be people who didn't just find the money, but planned to take advantage of the chaos from the start. The investigation into the missing millions eventually turned inward, towards the truck itself. The vehicle belonged to G4S, a global security company that handled everything from prisoner transport to bank deliveries. On December 24, 2014, it had one job: move more than 500 million Hong Kong dollars across the city. There were 3 guards on board. One drove, one sat up front, watching the road. The third sat in the back, guarding the money. The cargo was huge. All $500 notes packed neatly into sealed plastic boxes and stacked on the floor. But that day, something was different. As the truck rolled down Gloucester Road, one of the rear doors wasn't locked properly. It wasn't wide open, just loose enough that every bump and vibration slowly shifted the latch. At some point, the door swung open. From the front, no one noticed, and in the back, the guard was facing the other way. So, with the truck still moving, 3 entire boxes, about $15 million worth, simply slid out onto the road. The guards didn't realize a thing until the next stop. By then, the story was already breaking news, and police were racing to find the missing notes. G4S called it a freak accident. Critics called it negligence. Still, none of the guards faced charges. The blame was written off as a procedural mistake. And once again, the spotlight shifted back to the public. And what happened to all that money? Of the 15 million that scattered onto Gloucester Road that day, nearly 6 million was never recovered. And to this day, no one knows where those bills went. The Hong Kong cash spill is a reminder. Sometimes the greatest temptations don't come from planning a crime, but from simply being in the right place at exactly the wrong time. In the days after the spill, the city felt divided. For some, it was a test of morality, a moment where ordinary people had to decide, do you do the right thing, or do you take the chance of a lifetime? Talk shows couldn't stop discussing it. Newspapers filled their pages with essays about greed and honesty. And online, people compared it to scenes from the movies. Except this wasn't a movie. It was real, and it was happening right in their own city. And the question still lingers, if you had been there, standing on Gloucester Road, watching millions of dollars scatter across the street, what would you have done?